Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 270, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture, and we're still doing it. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And still here.
That is true.
I kind of want to do a supercut of you just saying Lotus Prince in the same exact cadence.
And Lotus Prince, and Lotus... God, make it stop.
Somebody get the remote. But yeah, I didn't think that we completely did the minigame episode justice, and
we did. We did every minigame ever made.
Well, here's the thing. Even calling this like a minigame compilation episode isn't quite right, because we're basically just going over minigames in general, which I think I'm okay with.
I find that to be easier to talk about anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? There are a lot of fun games with like a lot of like hidden mini games in them anyway. So I had a few that I wanted to just go over that we still didn't get to. So I also wanted to take a moment to talk about Warioware Get It Together, because that's the latest one, and I had been awaiting the arrival of the new of the copy that I had bought, and I have to say it is a blast. No.
What WarioWare Blast is a different game.
I have to say that it probably is the most full-featured of the WarioWare games that I've ever seen. It is unique. I guess all of them are pretty unique in the way that you control them, but the way that you interact with the mini-games in this game is pretty fun. So they give you actually like access to the characters, and they jump around and affect the thing going on in the background, like the mini game. So like as Wario, he kind of controls as Wario Land. Wario, like a simplified version of him. You know, he jumps and he bashes. You have a character like Mona who has a boomerang that you can control. You have a character who can jump. You jump pretty high. There's another character that can shoot but not turn around. It's all a lot of fun, and I played it with my wife, and we had a pretty big blast with it. So I really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I think there's just like a ton of content in it as well. I think there's something over 200 games, which is really, really fun. So I wanted to vouch for its quality, because it's top notch. I think it's one of the best WarioWare games out there, and it's fun with a group of people. You know, it's just one of those games that's just like, hey, what's going to happen next? What do we have to do next? Kind of things. And I think the pace is one of the coolest things about it. I also wanted to mention we had touched on Mario Party before, and I think Mario Party is not the first game like this, but it's kind of like the gold standard. It's like the game that you think of when you think of mini games. It's like the first one that I really remember playing a lot with my friends, and it's one of those things that I think is really funny. It's always gotten like poor reviews, because like the board game aspect of Mario Party tends to be complete bullshit.
Yeah, like there's a degree of strategy for winning, but
Sure.
There's so much luck. The only part that feels straight up skill based is the mini games, but that just gets you coins and possibly the mini game star at the end of the game.
Yeah, and the stars, some of the stars seem completely arbitrary. It's
usually coins, mini games, and landed on the happening space the most.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back at it, I don't think it was ever about winning. Like, that was just kind of the icing on the cake.
If you're doing single player mode, you could unlock some stuff, but multiplayer, it's like, whatever.
it was all about playing with your friends and seeing if Luigi could beat you all without having to do anything. And
Yeah. To be fair, it took a lot of effort to make those videos. It's just funny looking.
I think they took like tons and tons of takes of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like, oh, the AI's so bad. Like, it took forever to get that to work. It's just very funny that it did.
Yeah. But I think people forget about how much fun those goofy mini games can be. Like certain ones, like there's the one that like burrowed into people's hands because they played it so voraciously.
Well, yeah, where you have to rotate the stick as fast as you can. So, like, the best way to do that is with the palm of your hand, and that hurts.
Yeah. So, like, they actually, like, gave out special gloves in order to play that game.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. I remember I was subscribed to Consumer Reports for Kids when I was a kid. It was called Zillions. But, like... they featured that in there. They were like, "Oh, you better send away for your glove because of this lawsuit that happened back then." But yeah, it was pretty funny when you go back and think of it. And then there were like a lot of imitators. I mean, Mario Party has had its ups and downs, but like it by and large is pretty darn fun. But the imitators are hardly ever get even that right.
There's that one Shrek game, which is just like nonsense.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was called, but that game was nonsense.
The biggest one is Sonic Shuffle.
That's infuriating because like every single space you land on has an event, and like
none of them are fun. None of them.
Well, that's one thing. None of them happen to be fun, which is just an incredible feat in and of itself. But not only that, but like, let me play the game before I get to the super fun minigame. If every single turn is a minigame, it just feels disruptive.
Yeah. Sonic Shuffle was a huge disappointment because this was during the era, believe it or not, where I really, really like Sonic games. And this was it came out on the Dreamcast, and I was like really looking forward to it. And the Dreamcast, just like the N64, lent itself to multiplayer because it didn't require a multi-tap.
Yeah, it just had 4 ports for controllers.
Exactly. And I was high on Sonic's stuff because Sonic Adventure was really cool when it came out. Like it's not a perfect game, but like it was a beautiful looking game that was a lot of fun to play at the time, and it especially the Sonic levels, and even Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty damn fun. And so Sonic Shuffle comes out, and it is just a garbage game. It is.
Yep.
It is like one of the worst games I've ever played.
This is one of those games where I keep hearing how bad it is, but I'm like, well, lots of people say that things are bad, but like, if you learn to play them, it might not be so bad. But yeah, I saw gameplay. It's bad.
It's really bad. It was one of the most disappointing like Christmas gifts I've ever gotten in my life. Like I was really excited to play it, and I wanted a friend to come over and play it, and we played it, and it was just garbage. It was awful. I would have more fun not playing the game. It was the opposite of fun in every way. But on the other hand, there were a few mini games on the original Xbox, and it kind of tends to be forgotten. But one of the big ones from back then was Fusion Frenzy. I don't know if you ever played this one, Lotus, but
no.
This one was pretty popular for the people that had Xboxes early on, and those were the people that obviously got it because of Halo and a few of the other games like Max Payne and Jet Set Radio Future. But this was a kind of a standout game because it like had a lot of like events that were kind of like American Gladiators, like you were in that like cage ball, and you had to like go in certain areas and score points and things like that.
You had to run from one end of the earth to the other, like in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I don't know about that.
That's what I picture when I think of the cage ball. The most efficient way to travel is by running in a fucking hamster ball.
But yeah, Fusion Frenzy was a lot of fun, and a lot of people look at it fondly. I also wanted to mention SNK versus Capcom on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, believe it or not, has a whole bunch of mini games in it, and all of them like feature like fan service of both of the companies. So that's why I really liked it. But
That's
there
pretty
was
cool.
there's a Metal Slug one that kind of plays like the bonus game to Sunset Riders, or even Snatchers, like
What is the when like the light gun and you shoot the targets?
the grid. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay.
And there's also a Ghosts and Goblins
Oh,
mini game where you collect treasure and try to avoid the red armor, and that's a lot of fun. It kind of plays almost like like a Game and Watch game where it kind of has like a challenging timing element and that kind of thing. Simple, but like a lot of fun and very rewarding to try to beat your own high score on it.
sure.
There was even a rhythm game with Felicia in it from Darkstalkers. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah. So that's part of the reason why that game is so good. It's not only is it a great fighting game, but it also has like a lot of fun elements to it, like that, like fan service elements. There's also let me see here. Did you ever hear about WTF for PSP?
I have not.
So there is Work Time Fun, which is what it's called, and that was a lot of fun. That was a hoot. It was basically just WarioWare, but on the PSP, but with its own characters, and they were kind of grotesque, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. You have a few entries in here.
Yeah, actually, one that I didn't even put on the list. This is going to be a weird one to bring up, but a few of the Mortal Kombat games have had some entertaining minigames. One that surprised me was from... I don't know if it was in regular Mortal Kombat 3, I never played it, but I certainly played Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about that tank game? Is that what it was?
Not that I remember.
Oh, okay.
There's like a Galaga-like game.
Oh
Something like
yeah,
that.
I remember that.
And
Yep.
once you beat Shao Kahn, you can just like pick a bonus. Like, okay, and it's just that. It's the weirdest thing. The GameCube PS2 era Mortal Kombat had some really banana stuff though. There was like a kart racer in one of them. There was Mortal Kombat chess, where it's chess, except that when the pieces connect, one doesn't capture the other. You just have a fight. So even if you're a piece that was supposed to be captured, you could just win and kill the other piece anyway. It's freaking bananas. I think there was like a not Tetris, or well, you could hit junk to other players. So no, that's still Tetris. It was like Tetris or Bubble Ball, not Bubble
I
Bobble,
like that. Yeah.
Puyo Puyo or something. But I think it was Tetris, where you could just mess around with that stuff. Mortal Kombat's GameCube PS2 era stuff was crazy. It was just amazing. And here's something that you might not picture having minigames, but it totally does. Kind of Suikoden, but definitely Suikoden 2. Oh boy, there's a lot more going on than there may seem to be at first. There's Chinchorin, which is actually, I hope I said that right, Chinchorin, but that's how you can get a guy to join your party in the first place, is by beating him, where you gotta roll dice, and like a 4, 5, 6 is an insta win, a 1, 2, 3 is an insta lose. If you roll doubles, then the third die is what your roll is. So if I roll 2 6s and a 4, I rolled a 4. Because normally if you roll 3 different results, then it's just nothing. It's like a poker hand of nothing. If you roll 3 5s, then you rolled a 5. Because you rolled 2 5s and a 5. But I think they might have house ruled it, so like 3 6s is worth a lot or something. I think there might have been, or 3 1s is like a super victory or something like that. In addition, there's like a cooking game. If you provide the right ingredients and you know like which kinds of recipes the 3 judges like, then you can beat the other opponent. And there's like excruciating detail of animation of you just like stirring the pan around or like chopping vegetables or whatever. It's way more sprite effort than they're like even should have been in that game, but it just looks really good. And I know there was something else. There's fishing. You could talk to Yamku, and he's just like, you could go fishing. And if you catch fish, then you could get it as food or as ingredients, or you could just sell it. Like it's great. I think there might have been more. I'm not 100%. Oh, there's a dancing mini game. You do a dance thing by memorizing the button pressing order, so you can recruit this dancer to join you. But after that, you could just do it again if you feel like it. There's a ton going on in this JRPG series. It's great. And probably one of the most addictive mini games in a JRPG has got to be Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII, the card game.
I always had such a hard time figuring out how to play that.
Once you learn, it's actually pretty engaging. But what I find really entertaining is that different regions have like regional rules, so you have to get used to that nation's rules. But what I find really funny is that at endgame, you could find, like, I don't know who it is, like the CEO of the company or whatever, but you could talk to her and just change the rules for regions, so you could set it up to be rules that you like.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like, what is this? You can just do that. It's pretty great. FF9, I think, has a card game as well. I don't remember what it was called.
I forget what it's called.
But there's that going on, too. I just
called,
love little
Quartet
things.
or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I've seen Triple Triad the most because our friend Perry, that's the FF game he had, so I watched him play a ton of it.
You can also, like, I think you could buy, like, a real deck of Triple Triad cards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense because it's like every monster in the game and like every important character.
Yeah, and like if you could basically play the whole game just for that. Like you could play Final Fantasy VIII like just to get like all the different cards and stuff like that.
Yeah. And some of them are not easy, and some of them you must win against opponents, so that sucks. You finally beat them, and that's not the card they anteed. Like, ah, damn it.
Let me see here. We glanced on Rhythm Heaven, which I think is a very underrated series. I think that Rhythm Heaven like has some really, really fun games to it. So, do you know what system the first Rhythm Heaven game was on?
I'm assuming one of the Game Boy systems.
You are 100% right. So,
GBA?
The very first one is on GBA and never got officially released in the US. So it was called Rhythm Tengoku, which means Rhythm Heaven. But yeah, it is fan translated, so you could play that. But this is how I played it. It was one of the back in the day, like in my heavy collecting days, I was always looking for imports, like good import games to get, and this was one of the games on the GBA that I was able to get, and I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, you don't really... They fan translated it, but there's not much going on anyway. It's just, rhythm mini games, obviously. So it's really fun. It was one of the very first collaborations between Nintendo and Sega, believe it or not. So yeah, they both did it, and this also has a lot of staff in common with WarioWare. It was great. Now the first one to come over to the United States was Rhythm Heaven for the DS. So that one was a lot of fun, but it was touch based, so it was a little less responsive than the one for the GBA because it was all based on button presses. What was cool about Rhythm Heaven as well, I forgot to say, was that technically you should be able to play the game without looking at it.
That's true, yeah.
It is such a rhythm, carefully crafted rhythm game that you can actually, just use the sound cues in order to play the game.
And in fact, in some cases, you're better off not looking. Yeah. Like, as entertaining as the visuals are, they can be a distraction. It's like in, like Drakengard, especially Drakengard 3, the excruciating 7-minute long mess up once and you die rhythm sequence where you should just not look. Like, you're better off not looking if you want to pass that.
Yeah. There's also an arcade version of of Rhythm Heaven, which actually you can find at a lot of round ones in the United States, including the one in Exton, Pennsylvania, which is close to where I live. It's a lot of fun too, but that one is also Japanese only, but you can get your way through it. But I always really like the baseball game, where you're basically swinging to hit the balls that come down in the rhythm that it wants you to hit. I think it's just so much fun.
Sure.
But probably the best one that I've encountered so far, I really love that Wii one. The Wii one
the Wii
is
was amazing.
Just insanely good. It
I
is
love the,
one of the most
I love
charming
the-
games I've ever played.
Yes, I particularly like the wrestler game and
Yeah.
the samurai game.
Yeah, there's also the badminton one, which is very iconic. Ba 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 ba.
That one's a riot.
Yeah, I love that one.
That cat's voice.
ba,
1,
ba,
2,
ba,
3,
ba.
4. That's just how you talk. All right.
But yeah, I mean, this game actually propelled Rhythm Heaven into meme status, which it had never been before with the wrestler.
Bubba dubba dub. Is that true?
Even the Japanese version of it is pretty iconic. The Fiki 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 Desu ka.
Yeah, deki deki desu ka. The wrestler's voice is the same in both because, like, who cares? He's just grunting.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the fans.
I love it. It probably has like some of the wildest visuals, and it really makes you feel accomplished when you are doing well, because like the everything bugs out and is very happy and like grand when you're doing well.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, something is definitely off when you make a mistake. Although sometimes the mistakes are kind of funny. Do you remember the one where you're supposed to do tap dancing in time with the other 3 people?
Oh, I forget that one. No.
It's great because you're all just tapping, and when you get it right, you're all like, hooray! Or you're like, okay! But, like, if you ever mess up, the other it's really funny because the other 3 tap dancers give you like a dirty look, but you just keep on staring ahead and smiling, like completely oblivious. It's really entertaining.
The final one that they've put out was kind of a best of. It's Rhythm Heaven Megamix. That one came out for the 3DS at the very tail end of the 3DS. Kind of around the same time as WarioWare Gold, which is very much the same kind of thing. It's kind of a greatest hits. I haven't actually had a chance to play this one. I own it. But yeah, a lot of people just say, hey, you know, it's the best of Rhythm Heaven. So, but I just love the presentation of of the one before it. It just was so much fun. I really love that one. If you could seek it out, if you could seek it out, the Wii one is just a joy to play. I really, really think it. The monkey stopwatches. Like, I haven't played that game in years, but I remember
high five each other to count the seconds.
I
what a stupid
remember
watch.
almost everything. I remember like the putting one, you know, like
with the monkeys like shooting golf balls at you.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's like a lot of iconic mini games in that particular one.
What's also funny, by the way, is like the excellent score, the pass score, and the fail score all have amusing level is over images.
Yeah, there's also like the soccer juggling game too. Like you got to kick like the soccer ball.
Yeah, it's not quite juggling. It's just that you're sitting on the bench with your girlfriend, you're staring at each other, and a stray soccer ball comes toward you, and you have to like casually kick it away without looking distracted.
Yeah. That's what.
Like I think also a basketball, you're just like smack it away or something.
You know, it switches it up. There's even like footballs and stuff like that too.
And it's rhythm, so it doesn't matter. But just the different visuals are kind of funny if you're looking.
Yeah, no, that. Like I said, there are a ton of iconic mini games in that, and we just rattled off almost all of them. Like,
have you seen the grand finale? By the way, the last.
It's like
level?
one of the most satisfying things. It's so much.
It's
fun.
also brutal because it incorporates
really
every
fun.
single mini game in the game, including the adjust the volume thing that you did once and completely forgot existed by that point, and you're like, oh shit.
Let's see here. There's also do you remember the Point Blank games, or have you ever played those?
I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about them.
So Namco, while they were making like Time Crisis and other like gun games like it, also put out um a a series of games in the arcade that were based off of cooperative or versus play, where they would just put up a whole bunch of like WarioWare-esque mini games that you had to enact with the light gun, and
Okay.
they ported them all to PlayStation One with GunCon One support. So yeah, these games were a lot of fun. I used to play these with a lot of my friends. They even have like a really cool home modes to play each other. There's like all kinds of different competition modes. Basically, like cover territory on a map and things like that by winning all the mini games that you can. It is a blast. I really enjoy that series. I'm kind of sad that it's gone away because WarioWare plus light guns is like a good fit, and I think that was just like one of those. It was even before WarioWare at that point, I would say, because it's PlayStation One. But I really enjoyed it.
By the way, one thing somewhat similar. This doesn't really count,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want to bring it up because it's funny. You were talking about light gun games. Have you ever played the original Mad Dog McCree?
Yeah, I've even played it in the arcade.
Okay. Do you like how far did you get?
Not very far. I mean, those games
beating
are
it is
really
bullshit.
challenging.
Yeah, that game is hard to beat. But do you remember like Mr. Old Timey Prospector guy?
Yeah, he was like the game over guy. He always like taunted you, right?
No, that was the Undertaker.
Oh, okay.
That guy was great too. I don't think it was the first game. It was the third game where it wasn't the Undertaker. It was two different guys, but they're like, they're lowering you into your grave. You let us down. Now we're letting you down. It's like, oh shit. But the old timey prospector guy in the first game, it's great. He's like, before you get going in there, I just need to see your marksmanship. Here, try hitting this bottle. And he like throws a bottle in the air, and you have like 1 second like to react because it just cuts to the sky with the bottle flying, and you're like, like it's like Duck Hunt. But that part just cracks me up though, because like, whether you hit it or not, he'll react accordingly, and they'd be like, "Here, try another." But he throws up like 6 bottles. Like where do you get these? Like I could buy you having one, but he just keeps producing them. Like nice shot, try another, and he just keeps going.
Cream of the crop.
Yeah, like he just keeps producing. Like, try another one. I'm like, how? Where did these come from? It's just very fun. It's almost a mini game because it's just let's just do marksmanship for a second, but it's just funny. Because they're these giant bottles.
Speaking of that kind of thing, I don't know if I've ever told you this or not, but my friends Josh and Jesse,
yeah.
the brothers. So I've been really good friends with them ever since high school, and basically the last day before I went away to college as a freshman, we had gone to see Hero, the martial arts movie.
Oh wow, okay. That took me a second.
We had gone to see Hero, and
was that the one that was like let them fight?
It was also kind of a Rashomon kind of thing. Like they had like 3 different versions of how like an account happened.
Okay.
But each of them had like a different kind of vibe to it. But anyway. It had some really spectacular fight scenes in it, but Josh and Jesse are brothers, and they were roughhousing downstairs in my downstairs, my parents' house, and they knocked over a lamp and broke it while they were doing that, and they were like mortified, like they were like, oh my god, like we just broke Mrs. My mom's
Mrs. vysethebold
Mrs. the Bold's lamp, and they were like really messed up about it. My mom came down, looked at it for half a second, shrugged, and then like behind the table that she had had held it,
she has like 10 more identical looking lamps.
There is a crawl space like door right there, and she opened up the crawl space door and took out an identical lamp and put it right back on the.
That's like a cartoon.
Yeah, and
in case of Josh and Jesse, press button.
And Josh and Jesse are just looking at it like just dumbfounded.
That like can't utterly, be real.
Utterly like stupefied by by the actions that are beholden in front of them, because they were mortified and then all of a sudden were very freaking confused.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And also with the cavalier attitude in which my mom did it and how quickly she did it.
That's the third lamp this week.
I mean, I knew the backstory, but to them it was like
yeah, if I saw that, I wouldn't know what's real anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's like a gag in a show.
What had happened was, like, my brother had just moved out of his old apartment and had inherited like a whole bunch of like cheap, like but useful like housewares from my grandparents at that point, because my grandparents were nearing the end of their life at that time, and the two lamps were it, and she had just put that as kind of a placeholder, like downstairs, while she was like coming up with a new look for the place, and he had just moved out of his old apartment, so we just had the lamps just like sitting right there, right?
Sure.
Waiting.
That's fantastic,
to be
though.
waiting.
So
to
like,
be
there's the added bonus of like that's not even really my lamp.
Well, she didn't even care because it was like an ugly, cheap lamp anyway. But like Josh and Jesse didn't know that.
That's just spectacular timing.
They just broke their best friend's mom's lamp, and they were mortified. So like, they just like they weren't looking at the quality or anything. Like, just,
it broke something.
Yeah, broke something, and they felt bad about it. But anyway, I figured I'd tell that story on mic because it's incredible.
That's amazing. I never even heard that.
They were just like, what do you have, like some kind of weird copy machine back there?
I was gonna say, what else can we
factory?
break?
Yeah, exactly. What else can we break? It's just one of those things. But I wanted to mention one other thing before we go on to fan stuff. One other game I for sure wanted to mention was that one of the games that like people specifically buy for the mini games is Tekken.
This is one that I wouldn't have expected, but it's legit.
Yeah, Tekken Bowling is. I would buy Tekken Tag Tournament just for the bowling.
There's also that beat 'em up that's like 3 or 4 levels long, right? From like Tekken 3.
Yeah,
it's just a straight up beat 'em up that's incredibly brutal. Like if you die, it's all over.
I mean, even Namco is well known for the minigame thing. They even patented like, hey, playing like Pac-Man or Galaga during a loading screen was their idea.
By the way, as much as I love Namco, fuck bullshit. Namco.
Yeah, that's
because like every single other loading screen for years and years was just loading. That sucked me.
Yeah. But I wanted to mention that because like Tekken Bowling was like people used to.
It's actually good, yeah.
Oh, and in that same
speaking of which, the entire existence of Wii Sports.
Yeah, I was gonna say the in that same vein, Super Monkey Ball. The mini games included in that are actually the selling point to some people. Like Monkey Target in particular. Is just one of those games that really just resonated with people. They just love playing that, and I had whole afternoons playing that with my roommates back in college. Like
we could go to Yakuza, all the arcade games, and Boxelios, baby.
Hell yeah, man.
Boxelios,
or even just the the batting cages or the golf mini games. Jesus,
there's a ton. Yeah, the batting cages, the golf, the darts.
The competency exams.
That's Yakuza 7 specific, but yes.
Yeah.
What else is there? I know. Well, Yakuza also has bowling. Karting in 7 specifically. I don't think 7 has bowling anymore, but a few of the Yakuza games had a bowling alley.
They have shogi and.
They always have shogi and slots and mahjong.
Mahjong. Yep.
I know there's more going on. The Yakuza is loaded with mini games. There's a ton. The various casino games. There's blackjack. There's two casinos usually. There's standard like Western style stuff like blackjack and I forgot if they did Hold'em, roulette wheel, baccarat, and then there's like the more Japanese style casino with like Chohan and Hanafuda and stuff like that. There's a ton going on.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the gambling in particular in Dragon Quest
Sure.
because they did it in a way that would I'd see. I'm not much of a slots guy or anything like that, but the way that they did it in Dragon Quest, they made it basically a mini game to find like the hot slot. The slot machine that would output the most and hit the bonus like rolls even higher, and the slot machine that you play is like almost a mini RPG in itself. In it because it's slime battles. You're playing a slime on the slot machine, and the slime has to like battle other monsters and also like collect the monsters as friends in order to be used against the bosses in the slot machine.
That's kind of what they do in like real life pachinko machines nowadays. They gamify the games.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, this isn't real money, so it's
so it doesn't hurt so much.
Exactly.
You have fun playing.
You know, if you pick the right slot machine, you could be there for hours just because you'll continue making your money off of it. They want you to make money in that game, you know, so you can buy the special unique loot and all that stuff.
Sure.
So
it was like even Pokemon had that. Play slots until you could get a Porygon.
Exactly. It's the same kind of thing. There are a few games that have like casino elements in it. I mean, there's the
God
James,
Hand.
Yeah, and there's also the James Bond Game Boy game that a lot of people overlook. That is a lot of fun.
Sure.
It's actually like a part of the game. You have to win enough money to get access to the bad guy.
Sure.
Kind of like Casino Royale or whatever. So it's just cool. But any other ones that you wanted to mention real quick?
Well, going back to Tekken for just a second, I wanted to bring up one more minigame which segues into a bit of a trivia thing. Tekken 3, again, I think that was the one where they had volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
But I just wanted to mention, do you remember the secret character in 3? I think there were a couple, but do you remember Gon, the little yellow dinosaur guy?
Oh, yeah, he's actually from a comic.
That was my next question. He's from a comic of the same name. Yep, Gon. Yeah. And he also had a Super Famicom game also called Gon. So, like, Americans are like, who is this guy? Well, he's from 2 Japanese exclusive things.
Well, that manga in particular is notable because there's you can actually read it no problem because
he doesn't talk.
There's no dialogue. Yeah,
it's like Tom and Jerry. Like you can easily figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. It's like Domokun almost like Domokun. You barely need to understand, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things. But we should move on to fan stuff. Then.
Sure. Yeah, 2 of our fan things were of the new swaggy looking title card we used for the previous podcast. Thank you very much, Stringer Games. I thanked you in the description of the videos last week, but now I'm doing it out loud because now I know they exist before I started recording.
Yeah,
so
I definitely have to give a shout out to Stranga Games because they have been doing some really cool stuff for us lately.
Yeah, questions and title card, yeah.
Yeah, and they put out some really really well made games on Steam as well.
That's true too.
Yeah. You should definitely check it out. They get very good reviews. And everybody seems to really, really love them. So I have to plug their effort. They're really top notch.
Yes. So the first 2 comments are about that. Living Corpse, new look I see. Dracologist, hey, nice new title card.
And to be honest, I think we needed one. We had the same one for a very long time. We needed to spruce it up a
Yeah,
little bit.
I cycle, but yeah. And then Nepalermo is referring to a comment I made. This is regarding the CEO, the former CEO or president, whatever you want to call him, of Tripwire.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, he's like quoting me. It's not cancel culture if you sabotage your own fucking company. Like I laughed so hard. Yeah, touche. And just to bring that up again, just to clarify, because I might have just been vague on this one. Like I obviously made it clear that I'm pro-choice. If you are not, I understand. My main complaint was the Texas attempt, like the Texas laws attempt to get citizens to like get their neighbors thrown in jail to make a couple bucks. That's so fucking scummy.
Yeah, no, I think I also, here's the thing about this particular issue. I recognize that it is one of those like really bad choices. That's why it's such a hard debate, because it is like both
the
things
people
are
the
bad.
people who make the choice do not like it.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing that I always have to that I remind myself is that the politicians that are involved in this are just using the issue as leverage and don't really give a shit about it at all.
Yeah.
And
also they're men.
yeah, and this is from both sides, by the way. This is I mean, obviously,
well, this is for any topic too, even outside of abortion. It's for anything. It's really more about like winning brownie points to try to get reelected or elected the first time.
Exactly, and that's why I really hate it. I also think it distracts from other more like global issues that need to be addressed before this. I think this is a very personal and heartbreaking thing, a reality. And it's one of those things that's just like, it's also a thing that's not going to go away if you outlaw it. It never will. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. So I might as well regulate it, and make it
pretty
safe.
much, yeah.
But I think that having the judgment to make up your mind about that is key, and that's why I think it's great, that you can think that it's wrong. It's not for you. It's your choice.
No one does this for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And one more comment is from Fakafon. It's kind of amazing that side characters like Yuffie and Vincent, from Final Fantasy VII, get so much more important over time to have their own section, Yuffie, or their own game on PS2, Vincent, Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah, like, remember these characters? Let's give them a little more time in the spotlight, for better or for worse. Vincent, not a lot of people really cared for Dirge of Cerberus. Yuffie, I think people seem to like her story.
Yeah, the thing about Dirge of Cerberus is it just reeks of like Square Enix paying too much attention to the way something looks rather than how it plays.
And it's an FPS? Like, that was baffling.
Yeah, third-person shooter, but yeah.
Oh, it was third-person?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, it's been a while. All right, fair enough.
I mean, why would you know anything about that game anyway?
Isn't that the Gact game? Do I have that right?
I don't know.
There was a Final Fantasy VII game that had Gact, and it's just like, I think it was 7. Just the most baffling thing. I don't know. But anyway, so our question for the week, and this is our very last one, and it happens to be brought up by Stranga Games again, and hey, look, what a segue. What's your favorite Final Fantasy games and why? I know FF7 is the most idolized game, but I enjoyed FF9 way more. I think FF9 is like the Final Fantasy creators' favorite game. I missed out on the Nintendo era FF games as I only had Mario and Donkey Kong. I did, however, have Lufia 2, which was epic. I started with FF8 on the PS1, then FF7, which for the time being, FF8 was my favorite, until I tried it again recently. Yikes. Cool concept, but drawing magic, yeah, that sucks.
It was also one of the best-looking games of all time FF8, when it had come out, so...
Yeah, when I saw FF7, like, the battle screens looked gorgeous, but the regular running around the world, I was like, what? Like, FF8 looked realistic all the time, so I was super impressed when I first saw it.
So, as far as the actual question, I actually haven't beaten / played many Final Fantasy games, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's gonna be my answer too.
I am I've only played and beaten a handful of RPGs, and the ones that I have, I've absolutely loved. Up there are Dragon Quest XI, Yakuza Like a Dragon. I haven't beaten that yet, but I will. I refuse to not beat that game.
Which is also a Dragon Quest game.
It is a Dragon Quest game. I've beaten a bunch of the Mario RPG games, like Paper Mario games and Mario and Luigi games. I absolutely love those as well.
Did you ever beat Super Mario RPG?
I did. I beat that back in the day. I've beaten Mother 2 and Mother 3, or Earthbound and Mother 3.
Same.
And Mother 3 might be one of my favorite games of all time in general.
Mother 3 is powerful.
I love it. Love it. Skies of Arcadia. But the only Final Fantasy game that I've ever beaten was 7. And I liked it a lot, but I have to say that out of all the games I just listed, it might be near the bottom. It's not a bad game by any sense of the word, and not even that. It's just you
just had more passion for these other things.
Yeah, I had more passion for it. That's correct, and also kind of like you've said, there's an oversaturation of Final Fantasy VII stuff. So in the past, you've said that. So
yeah.
Contextually, the other ones that I played a bunch of. Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced I played a bunch of. I didn't beat it. I played a bunch of Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2, but never beat them. I played a tiny bit of 15 and enjoyed the hell out of it. And I played Mystic Quest. And I almost beat that. I played a bit of 5 too. Out of all of those, probably 5 is my favorite, actually.
Yeah, so I have a somewhat similar case here. I have played and beaten 2 Final Fantasy games, but I've had experience with more than that. I've really not seen much of 7, actually. I watched a friend play all the way through 8 and a different friend play all the way through 12. So I thought those were cool, but then again, I don't think I would have enjoyed actually playing either. I just like watching them progress. But 8 and 12 look really cool. And 12, I still say, has the best Cid of any Final Fantasy game. He's just so fun. Similarly, FF14, I don't want to play an MMO. I will not play it, but watching it being played, hey, it looks pretty cool. And shout out to that Nier crossover, which I can't believe exists, and I've seen what the final boss of that is, and oh my god, as a Nier fan, oh wow.
I would like to watch a YouTube video of the content of that game, for sure.
Play fucking Drakengard first, holy shit. But of the stuff I've actually had experience with, I have not beaten them, because I played them on emulators, but then something messed up for me, for both of them. I liked it was called Final Fantasy 2 in America, but it's really Final Fantasy 4. So, like, if you saw it on the Game Boy Advance, it's called 4, but on Super Nintendo, it's just called 2. I like that one quite a bit. I like, again, it's called Final Fantasy 3 here, but it's really Final Fantasy 6. I never made it to the end of that one, but I love what I've seen of it, and I've seen the ending. I would like to play through it at some point. I actually own it, so I have my chance. Of the ones I have beaten, I have also beaten 5. It's a very good title. And I have also beaten Mystic Quest. I know people laugh at Mystic Quest, but it's a really good, like, baby's first RPG title. And it's not a Nobuo Uematsu soundtrack, but it has a very good soundtrack. Yeah, by far the smallest of the Final Fantasy games. There's usually a million tracks in those things, but they're very good. And I've seen the final boss, and he's crazy.
I also like that in that game it kind of has some action elements to it too.
You can jump.
Yeah, and you can use that grapple hand.
Yeah, the hook shot kind of.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about that game. It gets ragged on, but I think
it's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a Dragon Quest looking aesthetic when you get into a fight, like the enemy's looking at you, and as you injure it, it shows visible deterioration. For most Mook enemies, there's the looking good and there's the looking bad, and then they disappear when they're dead. But bosses have like 3 or 4 images to show you the stages of the fight, because they have so much HP that you really might want a reminder that you're actually doing something to them. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think. I forgot to say that I played a really good chunk of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I forgot to mention that. I really love that game. I think it's a lot of fun. I played a chunk of Crisis Core as well, but I think as far as that stuff goes, I don't think, as far as a modern Final Fantasy goes, I don't think there's anything that surpasses like Remake, because Remake is just a blast to play. I really loved playing that game. I just got distracted. It's not the reason why I stopped playing it. I love it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend that for anybody who played 7 before, because I know that it has an ending that is different than people are expecting. I haven't gotten there yet, and I don't know what it is. But
oh yeah, I have a vague sense of what it is, but I mean, like, I'm not invested in Final Fantasy VII, so it's not like, oh, I'm gonna love this, oh, I'm gonna hate this, or whatever. But like,
I don't think I'll care.
I'm very curious as to where they're gonna go with the rest of the game once they release Part 2 or whatever it is.
I mostly just love the combat, and I love the environments in it. One of my complaints about 7 is I feel like the game falls off once you leave Midgar.
And this whole game is Midgar. Hey,
and this whole game is Midgar, so that makes me very happy.
You know what I love? Even though I haven't played FF7, I love this on principle. It still has the frog status effect, and it still has the stupid bullshit, like that one enemy that's like a house that fights you.
Oh
like,
yeah, I love that.
Like
yeah.
that's in there. Like you can fight
like
that.
the spooky house. Yeah,
they brought that back. Like it's really? That's one of those things where, like, as someone who never played Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy VII, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, that's like a specific detail of the game. I didn't know it existed. But when I heard that it did, and then it was back, I was like, you know what? That's cool.
Yeah, I think, like, the story, everything that you do in that game is a lot of fun. They managed to make it into basically an action RPG. It's a lot of fun to play as the other characters too, and it's also beautiful as well. Not that actually, you shouldn't expect that, but
and even regarding the original game, what I'll say about that is that most of what I've seen of Final Fantasy VII was the demo disc when you're doing the bombing.
Oh yeah,
which came with fucking.
It has one of the best introduction, like that cold open of just like
the bombing. But when it came, the demo disc, it came with Tobal #1. But, like, when you're doing the bombing run, and then, like, I saw Leviathan being summoned, and, like, these graphics are crazy! And when I was at college, a friend of mine had already beaten the game. He had a save file near the end. He's like, look, I'll show you the final boss. And did you beat OG FF7?
Yeah.
So, you know what Sephiroth's
That's
Supernova...
the one game I have beaten.
You know what Sephiroth's Supernova attack looks like?
Yeah, it's, like, basically destroying all the planets.
Yeah, when I saw that, my jaw dropped. Because, like, I thought it was going to be this super thing that flies through the solar system and finally hits you. So it's like Pluto. I'm like, okay.
Pluto,
and then it just
fucked.
Fucking vaporizes it. I'm like, oh my god!
Uranus, fucked.
That was the craziest shit.
Jupiter,
and it punches a hole
fucked.
in Jupiter, which then explodes. Like, this is insane. And the sun just gets bigger and bigger. I'm like, this is the craziest attack I've ever seen.
Yeah, that part about it is great.
That was jaw dropping. That's one thing I should mention, by the way. People talk about how epic that final boss theme is, because, like, remembering this is a PS1 game and we're still using, like, MIDI sound and stuff.
Yeah.
This had song lyrics. Like, they made it such a big deal. It's like a 7-minute song with like Latin sounding lyrics while you're fighting this god being. Like, that's so cool. But one thing I should also give a shout out to is Final Fantasy VI. Do you know what's special about the Final Fantasy VI final boss theme?
Is it the Dancing Mad?
Yeah. Do you know what's special about that?
It like basically just goes on. Like it doesn't
It's
repeat.
like 16 minutes
Yeah,
for a
it's
Super
basically
Nintendo song.
Yeah, Nobuo Uematsu said it was his like tribute to like prog rock bands. Like
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, it basically just goes off on that organ,
Yeah, it's
like
just like
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or like Crimson King would do, or King Crimson
yeah.
would do.
I was thinking
Yeah.
King Crimson actually, the Court of the Crimson King.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it just keeps going. But it's like this epic travel from hell to heaven, and you get that vibe looking at Final Boss of Kafka. Like it looks like a Dante's Inferno kind of thing. Like it, like that's like the ultimate. Like that's it. I can't write any more music from here. Like this is it. It's over. And then
Yeah.
he wrote One Winged Angel, which somehow managed to get more iconic.
Here's the thing. I have a huge need to play the 16-bit Final Fantasies. Those are like on my list of things that I want to do. I certainly want to play 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I gotta beat 6, and I'm not overly passionate about beating 4. I feel that I should, but I want to beat 6.
So here's the thing. Even with these pixel remasters that they're releasing right now, unfortunately, they've basically committed to making like a better looking version of the SNES version, so it's not including any of the extra content that they put into the GBA games.
Yeah,
So
I
the
don't
games,
know what they're thinking with this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why
Like, this isn't a port. They're just remaking it. Like, fucking take the extra stuff.
Yeah, they really should just release definitive versions of these games so people could stop complaining. But basically, if you want to play a definitive version of 4, which is one of the very few, by the way, that does have a definitive version, some of the games just have things that are versions that are better in some ways and worse in others, which is even more infuriating. But 4 actually does have a definitive version, and it's locked to the PSP. But there is like Final Fantasy IV Complete Edition, which is lovely. They should have done that for 4, 5, and 6, and they didn't. They just did it for 4. I don't know why, but yeah, that once I get through that, I definitely want to seek out probably like a fan modded version of 5 and 6 of the Steam versions, because they're as definitive as they're gonna get, but they don't look good. So if there's fan modded versions that make it look good, then I'll do that.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, it's not that we don't like these games. It's just that we tend to get oversaturated with stuff like this, and like I've beaten Undertale. I mean, that's kind of an RPG. It's more of a dodging game than anything, if you ask me. But
No, that's an RPG.
but it has a lot of action elements, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that also you're not really if you're playing pacifist, you're not really like inflicting damage or anything. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I love games that subvert RPGs in general, and like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are the most RPGs, right? like
yeah, pretty much.
As far as Japanese RPGs go.
To be
right?
fair, though, Final Fantasy 6 and 7 were pretty intense subversions in terms of aesthetic. 6 opens up with mechs walking around on screen, and 7 is just cyberpunk.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're not without their merits within their own genre as well. And I mean, like Dragon Quest 11 is like so sublime. I love that game, and I never expected the progenitor of the subgenre to make a game that felt that perfect, for lack of a better way of saying it. Like it's just so good. But a lot of times I look for like pirate themed games. I just like pirate themed RPGs. I like that. I like RPGs that take place in the modern world more than a lot of other the rote fantasy settings. So like I stay away from a lot of the other like Lufias and things like that because it doesn't interest me as much as like a space setting. I like space. I like modern ones. I like futuristic stuff. I like cyberpunk stuff. So that's why I gravitate towards all those. I don't know about you in terms of aesthetics and themes, but
I don't really even necessarily know if I have a particular favored aesthetic. Like I'll start an RPG and I'll know if I like it, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. But like I said, it's not to say that I think any of those games are bad. They are absolutely not. They are the examples, the crowning achievements of their subgenre when they do come out, by and large. Also, I have to say that the fans of Final Fantasy also make it hard to like them because, like, you know the way it is. The general discourse going around on any given Final Fantasy game is that it sucks for 2 years and then it's also amazing
until the next game comes out, which sucks, and the game that you said last year sucked is actually good.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when Final Fantasy X-2 was like the worst thing ever, and now it's held.
You're just
in
a pop
high
idol.
regard.
What is this? This is bullshit.
Yeah, now it's held in high regard, and I remember playing that game when it came out and thinking it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and people were like, "Oh, the dress spheres, this is bullshit." And then you know, I said something like, "Hey, it's just the job system, and it's cool, and there's like, the gunner class is a lot of fun. It has an action element. It's a lot of fun to play this game," and then people actually came around to that. But like, I remember having arguments like in high school about that, like and like people ragged on 15, but I played it and I was enjoying the little bit of it that I did play. So I don't know. I don't trust people's opinion on Final Fantasy. I just don't, because I guess it's too big. I don't know.
Well, you have to talk to a person, not read people's opinion.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't trust general opinions anyway on anything. So
just have an actual conversation instead of reading a single post that says this sucks, because that doesn't help you.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else you want to talk about here, Lotus?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well,
and one thing I will throw out, by the way, real quickly, if anybody wants to shout out the Game Boy Final Fantasy games, to be pedantic, those are not technically Final Fantasy games. They're Saga. There's Adventure and there's Legend, and I forgot which is which, but one of them is Saga and the other is Seiken Densetsu.
Seiken Densetsu is Adventure, and Saga is Legend 1 through 3.
Okay, so they're called Final Fantasy, but they're not actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're good. I haven't tried them personally. I wouldn't know, but that's why we're not even talking about them.
Here's the thing about Final Fantasy is no matter what, you're going to get something that looks and sounds good. So
yeah.
I can't think of a game that doesn't follow that. Even the games that aren't highly regarded, like Crystal Bearers, like
that game is gorgeous though.
It is a gorgeous Wii game, and the music is even better. I think the music in that game is very folksy, and it's some of the best that's ever that they've ever made, actually. But nobody's heard of it because it wasn't the best game. So that is the show for this week, though. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. That was a good one. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. How many do we have left, Lotus?
No, this is it. We're fresh out.
Okay, so we need questions stat. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything. Just give me a heads up, please.
And you can follow me in my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch everybody on Tuesday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.